Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And over the last so many years, we've seen a lot of different remakes with all signs pointing to even more coming. Game companies, they seem to have a lot of success with these remakes. Fans, for the most part, I know some are a little bit tired of them, but for the most part, fans seem to enjoy these remakes as well. So we're often looking around for the next remake candidate, and well, a new report claims that Nintendo has a remake of their own coming sometime here soon, though maybe not necessarily quite what you're expecting. There's definitely a little bit of a surprise here. Also, the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition just gained another major supporter that might help them get through the looming regulatory process. So we're going to get into that one as well, and why it could be important for Microsoft in the long run. To get things started off today, though, we're first going to talk about Persona, or more specifically, Persona 4 Golden. This game, alongside Persona 3, will finally be completely multi-platform starting January 19th. Bravo, everybody, we did it. These games will finally be readily available on modern platforms. Congratulations, because I'm telling you, these are all-time great JRPGs. Definitely go check them out, especially Persona 4. But you know, this really is a monumental moment. Atlus finally made a good decision here, though here's the thing. At the end of the day, this is ultimately still Atlus that we're talking about. You just kind of know that they're going to do something that just doesn't make sense, and well, they did do that thing. So as some of you all may know, Persona 4 will be a native Xbox Series game, which is absolutely amazing for Xbox fans. That means it can take full advantage of the Xbox Series hardware, but for some reason, Atlus did not do the same thing for PlayStation. It is a PlayStation 4 title, meaning that if you own a PlayStation 5, it will be played through backwards compatibility. Now, the reason that this is important is because comparisons are now making their way online, which reveals there is quite a big difference between the two. Mako Reactor posted this where they said, the PlayStation 4 version is lacking even with its PlayStation 4 Pro support when played on PlayStation 5 through backwards compatibility. The lack of a PlayStation 5 native release makes matters worse considering Persona 5 Royal got one. Right now, the best console version of Persona 4 Golden is easily the Xbox Series X version, with its much higher resolution and 120Hz support. The PlayStation 4 version instead will be played at 60 frames per second. They also compared the PlayStation 4 version to the Switch, and interestingly enough, there's actually more of a competitive comparison there than you might originally think, as they said this. Persona 4 Golden on Nintendo Switch is an excellent conversion and a much better port than Persona 5 Royal for Nintendo Switch. Compared to that, the PlayStation 4 version is lacking with no support for much higher resolutions than Nintendo Switch, even on PlayStation 5 through backwards compatibility. The only reason to get Persona 4 Golden on PlayStation 4 over Nintendo Switch right now would be the trophy support, if that matters to you. So on one side, this is great for Nintendo fans, and actually I will be playing this one on the Nintendo Switch myself, but at the same time, this is just yet another really strange decision by Atlus. By all means, it sounds like the PlayStation 4 version is still fine. It runs at 60 frames per second, and it also has a much higher resolution than the Vita version. And all things considered, it's better than the original in every possible way. So if you do decide to play it on PlayStation, I wouldn't really fret. It's still going to look good on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. But still, you would think that Atlus would want to take more advantage of the PlayStation 5 hardware. I don't know. Atlus, they really are truly strange. Right now, though, if you do have multiple platforms, it definitely seems like the best way to play Persona 4 will be on the Xbox Series X for home consoles, or if you want handheld, the Switch OLED, which that will be my preferred way to play. That does sound like a great option in this case. Next up, we got an update for Hogwarts Legacy. We are closing in on its release, which is slated for February 10th, almost there. And then will be available on the Xbox Series, the PlayStation 5, and then also PC. Now, keep in mind, the Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 versions have been delayed, but in the meantime, Hogwarts Legacy has already claimed the #1 best-selling spot for the Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC. This is all happening before the game is even released. It's quite crazy, honestly. This will absolutely be a massive launch, and if it reviews well, I mean, if that happens, I think that this will end up being one of 2023's biggest games, just period. However, Hogwarts Legacy was hit by a pretty significant leak as its art book has reportedly gone out just a little early. Some fans are already posting pictures online from its art book and revealing previously unknown information. This art book reportedly has revealed different locations, its world map, which can easily be found now, customization options for characters, and also how long it's expected to take to complete the game. If you want to go check out some of this stuff yourself, I will leave a link in the description below. Otherwise, I don't really want to spoil too much. This game's only out in like just a couple weeks, but at the very least, I thought we could talk about its completion time. It is claimed that the mainline story content will take roughly 35 hours to complete, and if you want to do all the side missions as well, then you're looking at around 70 hours. So it seems like a pretty good sized game, a full-fledged open world RPG, and it just once again appears to be that dream game for Harry Potter fans. Let's go talk about the latest on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. No, as there's just always something happening with this buyout, but this time Microsoft has gained yet another major supporter, this time being the European Games Developer Federation, or for short, EGDF. Now, if you don't know who they are, they're a national trade association representing game studios across 22 European countries. So their opinion does actually hold some weight here, and they're now reportedly weighing in on the mega acquisition, giving Microsoft their full support, though with some stipulations. We'll get into that here in just a second. But first, let's go and take a look at what they said here. So they say EGDF supports Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition as its potential positive impacts on the competition in game markets in general outweigh the limited console and subscription market-specific competition concerns. Furthermore, and here's the key part, in the console game markets, Sony is a clear market leader with its PlayStation platform, and Microsoft is still in a challenger position. And that really is the key point here, as we've talked about like a bajillion times already. While Sony has tried their hardest to approach this buyout in a vulnerable position, the historical stats, including right now, they just tell otherwise. PlayStation has been a dominant force in the game industry pretty much since the PlayStation 1, and to this day, they've not relinquished their foothold when it comes to Xbox. As EGDF says here, Sony is a clear market leader with its PlayStation platform, and Microsoft is still in a challenger position. That actually leans directly into Microsoft's arguments on why they should be able to complete this buyout to allow them to better compete. And actually, EGDF continues that argument with their belief that Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition strengthens competition for global markets. Though interestingly enough, even though their primary focus appears to be on Sony's dominant console position, they didn't just stop there. Sony and PlayStation, of course, have been among the forefront of this acquisition for relatively obvious reasons, but EGDF also points to some other concerns such as the mobile game market, cloud gaming and subscriptions, and then also general game publishers. As you can see here, they believe Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition allows it to challenge Apple and Google as dominant mobile market application stores. Right now, it's heavily believed that Google and Apple needs more competition as they have a bit of a duopoly. The problem here, though, is there's not really that many companies out there that have the money or the resources to challenge Google or Apple. And things have kind of gotten so bad that reportedly Google was paying other publishers just not to make their own storefronts at all. They just don't want the competition. But that's where this acquisition comes in. It does give Microsoft the resources to make waves in the mobile market where they're currently pretty much non-existent. Now, as for cloud gaming and subscriptions, EGDF made a similar case stating the acquisition gives Microsoft the means to challenge Apple in emerging cloud gaming, game subscription service markets. They say that it's crucial that Apple has a strong competitor that can challenge them here, considering Google, as we know, killed their own subscription service being Stadia. So they're saying it pretty much how it is. Some of these regulators have brought up cloud gaming, making it sound like Microsoft has some kind of dominant lead in this field, which isn't really true. This is an emerging market still in its infancy stage. So really any of these big companies could come forward and make a footprint. Google, they had their chance, but they didn't understand the game market and ultimately failed. But that's on them, not really Microsoft. The truth of the matter is that none of us know how the cloud gaming market will look 10 years from now. Microsoft, they could lead here. Maybe Apple will. Sony, they could also make a big push. I mean, who really knows? Right now, we don't even know if it will ever be successful in the first place. So I always found this argument to be a little bit exaggerative from regulators. The last thing here, though, and I never thought about this myself, but they said the acquisition enables Microsoft to challenge Tencent as the world's leading global game developer and publisher. They pointed out that Tencent has a huge influence on the game industry and are aggressively investing in game developers. See, everybody's so focused on Microsoft. They are this massive company, of course, so these regulators are really going to kind of look into an acquisition like this with a fine-tooth comb and everything, and okay. But in terms of gaming, which that's what we're focusing on, they're just not the biggest, and it's that simple. On top of that, there's other gaming companies out there that are bigger, and they're also acquiring and investing into studios at a rapid pace. Tencent, they're obviously one. Sony, that's another big player, and so on and so forth. So I think EGDF here, I think they made a good case for Microsoft, which could help them in their regulatory process. Again, their opinion does hold some weight. However, they didn't necessarily universally agree with everything that Microsoft does. They did say that EGDF acknowledges that Microsoft has the ability for anti-competitive market behavior and has not in the past consistently respected assurances it has given to continue making games published by companies that it has acquired available on rival platforms. So even though they support the acquisition, they do welcome and understand the regulatory process, and they even added a list of actions they want Microsoft to make post-acquisition, including to continue its investment in cross-platform game development and make its games widely available on all platforms, as well as to, quote-unquote, break the console market triopoly and compete on content by lowering its 30% platform fee on Xbox. It is kind of interesting that they brought that up. They didn't just focus on Call of Duty either. They seem to go a little more big picture, but at the end of the day, we'll see if regulators like the EU takes any of this into consideration. At the very least, I'd say that this is good news for Microsoft as they did gain yet another major supporter. Moving on, though, a new Nintendo remake has reportedly leaked out online early. Of course, there has been some rumors as of recent that Nintendo is looking to make a big push with GameCube remasters and remakes this year. We've heard a lot about Metroid. We've been hearing a little bit about F-Zero GX. But it sounds like there's something else here that kind of lines up with that, though maybe not necessarily the game that you were expecting. This is coming from Xputer, and they claim that Baten Kaitos, Wings of Lost Ocean, is getting a remake. Yeah, this is completely out of left field, though it reportedly will be developed by Bandai Namco and Monolith Soft as a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Now, if you think about it, that actually kind of lines up as well, as just a few weeks ago, we were talking about a Nintendo licensed Bandai Namco partnership. Now, at the time, we were speculating that it would be Kid Icarus, but, hey, it could also be Baten Kaitos. Who's to say that it's not? I'll also just kind of say this. I always caution rumors. You need to take them with a grain of salt and all that, which I will say once again, until confirmed, you need to take this with a grain of salt. But, at the same time, this would be such a strange rumor to make up. I mean, I just don't know if there's really much to gain by making up a rumor like this, unless it's real. I mean, a lot of times rumors are vague enough and lean into already highly plausible announcements, so even if they're not being honest, there's still a good chance that these quote-unquote insiders can claim victory with an eventual announcement. But in this case, this rumor is neither vague nor does it lean into something highly plausible. I don't think anybody was necessarily predicting a remake of Baten Kaitos out of all games. Nonetheless, though, they do claim that they've seen graphical proof of its existence and that it's aiming to release this summer. Now, if that part is true, I'd say that a soonish announcement is likely. For that matter, if Nintendo is truly involved, as is claimed here, they could reveal this at maybe a Nintendo Direct. I think a lot of us do expect a Nintendo Direct within the next few months, and this suddenly has become a reveal candidate. Now, I will say for myself, though, I've never played this game personally. It appears to be a unique turn-based RPG with a card element involved, I think that would fit very well on the Switch. Obviously, these type of games are a perfect match for the console. But one thing that I have seen is that there does appear to be a lot of fans of this series. So hopefully something comes of this for you fans out there. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, if the rumors are true, which Metal Gear Solid entry would you prefer to get the remake treatment? And as you can see here, the majority of you all would like to see that first game get remade, with 55% of you all voting for Metal Gear Solid. Then 14% of you all voted for Metal Gear Solid 3, 10% of you voted for Metal Gear Solid 2, and then 6% of you voted for Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, I am completely with you all on this one, though it's kind of the thing. So I think that a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 by far makes the most sense. I mean, here you have a game that could truly be played in an entirely different way if they give it that, let's say, the Resident Evil 2 remake treatment. If they were to do something like that, I think that would be amazing to see. But from the rumors that we've been hearing recently, it sounds like there's a good chance that it's actually going to be Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, to be fair, that did take second place here. It is a very popular entry in the franchise, but I don't think that it would really have the same impact as bringing back the classic. That's just my own personal opinion, but yeah, I am completely with you all on this one. I mean, even from a business standpoint, I would think that remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 first would make more sense. Think about what Capcom's done with Resident Evil. They saw they could have success, so they just basically decided, hey, we're just going to remake the entire series. And Konami, they could do something similar here. They could go back and remake the first one, and then if they have success, then move on to 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. But at the same time, Konami's also remaking Silent Hill 2 before Silent Hill 1, so we'll see. Anyways, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.